theyeshiva.net.
I don't know how much time everybody has, but it's kedai to chazer this Gemara during the day. Before Pesach, it's really the meat and potato, or I should say matzah and chazeres behind the Seder. I know it's not meat and potato, but the matzah and the chazeres behind the Seder, and the wine. Yeah. We're holding Amar Ravina. You see Amar Ravina, the line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 8 lines from the top, Daf Kuf Tesvav Amud Aleph. Amar Ravina, Amar Li Rav Mesharshaya. You see around 8 or 9 lines from the top, Kuf Tesvav Amud Aleph Masechta Pesachim.
I never got it.
I don't know if we have a clear name for the compiler of the Haggadah. Much of the text of the Haggadah we have in the Mechilta, which is already from the times of the Tanoim. And then in the times of the Gaonim, we already have Rabbi Amram Gaon and others, we already have texts of the Haggadahs. But who is the Mamash, the Mesader Haggadah, the official compiler of the Haggadah? I'm not sure that we have a name.
But it was around already by the second Beis Hamikdash?
Major parts were around, yeah. Major parts were around by the second Beis Hamikdash, and then after the second Beis Hamikdash, and already by the Tanoim after the second Beis Hamikdash, the Mechilta, which is Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, Rabbi Akiva. This is after the second Beis Hamikdash. We have much of the text of the Haggadah that we use. Yeah.
They were in the Haggadah. Rabbi Akiva was in the Haggadah, so we know that it was.
We spoke about it yesterday.
Completely put together.
Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Yeshua, Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Tarfon, and Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah.
It's also mentioned after them.
Huh?
No one else is mentioned after them.
No, just those. Well, we have later a machlokes of Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yossi Aglili about the 10 plagues. If it was 10 plagues, yeah. You'll have Rabbi Gamliel, right? Rabbi Gamliel said, Kol shlei amar shloi shadvarim elu. So we have a few Tanoim mentioned, yeah. Yeah. After the Churban, but they're all from after Churban Bayesheni.
And they were all by the. And they were all.
Hillel, Kenos Hillel, that we're going to discuss today. Hillel is already much earlier.
They were all by the Beis Hamikdash.
No, they were right after the Beis Hamikdash. Some were, but some were born after. The story in Bnei Brak is 5 people. Is Ma'aser Rabbi Eliezer, that's Rabbi Eliezer Haggadah, Rabbi Eliezer ben Hyrcanus. And then you have, the next one is Rabbi Yeshua. He was a Levi, he was also by the Beis Hamikdash. He's one of the vocalists, the Mesharim. He's one of the singers in the Beis Hamikdash. He was a Levi, Rabbi Yeshua ben Chananya. He was considered the greatest debater of the Jewish people in his day. Then the third one is Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah, who became the Nasi of the Sanhedrin after Rabbi Gamliel was dethroned in Masechta Brachas. Then you have Rabbi Akiva, and then you have Rabbi Tarfon. They always wondered why the order, why this order. The Lubavitcher Rebbe's Haggadah, he suggests, interestingly, he says Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yeshua were the Rebbes of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva had them as teachers. Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah was the Nasi. He was the head of the Sanhedrin. So first they put Rabbi Eliezer, then they put Rabbi Yeshua, who were the older Rebbes. Then they put Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah, because he was the Nasi. He came from, the Gemara says, from a great family, Mishpacha Meyuchesas. And then Rabbi Akiva, and then Reb Tarfon. Reb Tarfon was also a Rebbe of Rabbi Akiva, but he was also a Chaver of Rabbi Akiva. And since it was Bnei Brak, and Rabbi Akiva was the Morad Asr in Bnei Brak, so they put Rabbi Akiva before Reb Tarfon, but Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah before Rabbi Akiva, and Rabbi Lazar and Rabbi Yeshua before everybody. That's one interpretation. Another interpretation he brings is that the Gemara says that when they used to recline in beds, when they used to eat, so if you have a great man, he's in the middle, and the person who's second is on the right of him, on top of him, and the person who's third is on the bottom of him, right? And if there's 2 people who are greater, so you'll have number 2, you'll have number 3, and then you'll have number 4, you'll have number 5 on his left. So he says, so Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah was in the middle because he was the Nasi. You had Rabbi Yeshua and Rabbi Eliezer on the right. You had Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Tarfon on the left. That's nice because that's how they used to sit by the Seder. Everyone had their own couch and their own bed, their own little table. So Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah, so Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yeshua on the right, Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah in the middle, Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Tarfon on the left. But it's at his Seder, it worked that way. That's how they used to recline. The Gadol be'emtza, and the other Gedolim on top of him, and the Ktanim on the bottom of him. A very interesting interpretation. Why is this order? Because the order is strange. Why this order? Akiva was the Mardas of Bnei Brak. It's Bnei Brak. So he should have been first. But he couldn't be first because Rebbe Lezer was his Rebbe. You're not going to put your name before your Rebbe's name. So Pastachnash. Yeshua was also his Rebbe. Rebbe Lezer ben Azariah wasn't his Rebbe, but he was the Nasi. Reb Tarfon was his Rebbe, but it was also his Chaver. And it's Bnei Brak, so Reb Tarfon went at the end. That's the Rebbe's interpretation in his Haggadah. And then there's the union of the Seder, of how they, second interpretation, it's brought in Svarim, that mitzad, the dinim of Gdolim and Ktanim, it worked out that way, because Rebbe Lezer was the Nasi, so they gave him the middle, even though Rebbe Lezer and Yeshua were probably older. Were older, not probably. They were all members of Sanhedrin, but they weren't the leaders of the Sanhedrin. The Sanhedrin had a Nasi and an Av Bezdin. The Nasi was Ram Gamliel. Ram Gamliel was treating Rabbi Yeshua very, very harshly, the Gemara says. He made him stand the whole time. And they took it away from Ram Gamliel, and they gave it to Rebbe Lezer ben Azariah. And then they brought back Ram Gamliel, and it was 3 weeks and 1 week. Ram Gamliel would give the shir for 3 weeks, and Rebbe Lezer ben Azariah would give the shir one Shabbos, and they both came back together. But Rebbe Lezer ben Azariah took over Ram Gamliel.
Did Rebbe Yeshua get a different treatment afterwards?
Yeah. They were very upset how Rebbe Gamliel, they felt that it was not, Rebbe Gamliel was trying to maintain the authority of Halacha. He wasn't doing it stam. It wasn't an ego trip. Rebbe Gamliel was a big tzaddik, but he felt this was the right way of dealing with Rabbi Yeshua, and they felt that Rabbi Yeshua, it was wrong.
What was he doing, Rabbi?
He paskened differently, and Rebbe Gamliel, he was arguing with him heavily, which wasn't an issue, but once he had him stand in the Beis Medrash the whole time. And Yom Kippur was a ganze Maisa. He made him come with his money on Yom Kippur, because Rebbe Gamliel used to say, he said, I'm not doing anything for my honor. I'm trying to do the right thing. But they felt it was a wrong approach. Rebbe Gamliel was very strong. They felt it was a wrong approach. Rebbe Lezer ben Azariah was much more chesedic. Rebbe Gamliel kept everybody out. Kol Talmud she'ein toiche kebari lo yikonos l'beis hamedrash. Brachas chavches. A Talmud that is inside is not like his outside, doesn't go in. And he had a guard. Rebbe Lezer ben Azariah took away the guards. Everybody goes into the Beis Medrash, and the whole Beis Medrash filled up with people. It says 400 new chairs or 800 new chairs. Hu yoymid tois v'savsla b'bei medrasha. Hundreds of new chairs because people came in. Tois v'savsla b'bei medrasha. I once saw a speaker get up for a drasha, and as he got up, the whole place emptied out. So he said, now I understand what the Gemara means. Hu yoymid tois v'savsla b'bei medrasha. There were many new chairs, white chairs, new people. He says, because some people got up to speak and suddenly there were a lot of chairs. Tais v'savsla b'bei medrash, says Reb Matal Agorari. Huh? He was making a joke. All the chairs emptied. He got up to speak. Everybody ran out. So he says, Tais v'savsla. Al-Kol Reb Gamliel felt that if you're not perfect inside and outside, you don't deserve to be in the Beis Medrash. Reb Gamliel was looking for the highest caliber. And Rebbe Lezer ben Azariah said, you can't have a yeshiva that way. We need cross-pollination. We need different types of kids. The big question is, how can a guard determine if a Talmud's inside? How do you determine these things to a guard? It says Rebbe Lezer ben Azariah took away the guard. Who was the Shem to be Baruch HaKodesh? Huh? How can a shomer determine, your inside is like your outside, stay in? No, but it says Rebbe Lezer ben Azariah took away the shomer, he took away the guard, and he let everybody come in. And Rebbe Gamliel also came in that day. How can a guard determine inner character?
He was told, this not let in and this not.
So at Pashtus he was told. So Rebbe Lezer ben Azariah, Rebbe Gamliel told him this one, let him know. I once saw a vart, I think, from the Imrei Emes or the Sfas Emes. I think it's a Gerer vart. I saw it once. He put a guard who didn't let anybody in. And the person who fought and got in, you knew that he really means it. The guard didn't let anybody come in. The boy who made it in, you knew he means it. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
All the yeshivas got together and done the right for his first. There was all yeshivas, so he came to his yeshiva, I don't know which place it was. He went to the yeshiva, take me, and he says, why do you want to? Pretty man it was. What do you think this is over here? It was Zogapus. This my father took off. he went to this other one. He went to Kletsk, to Rebbe Club. He went to Rebbe Club. He says, "Come."
Where was the first yeshiva?
I think it was, I don't remember the name. Actually, my father said he came to him the next day over there. Who the Polish English? So he went over there, so he's over there. He said, my father, if you want to come, come. He says, no.
So your father went to Kletsk, to Reb Aaron.
Yeah.
Reb Aaron Kotler was in Kletsk, yeah.
That's how he ended up. He was the one that got him here. At the end.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So I'm saying, so my brothers, I don't know who this Yeshiva was. My brothers ended up by this Yeshiva, and that's so Bnei Brak. And my brothers told me he took very good care of him over there. He found out that was the Hilel that he lost. That Hilel that went to...
Zog the Heilige Gemara. Amar Ravina. Ravina said, Amali Rav Mesharshaya Barede Reb Nosson. Rav Mesharshaya, the son of Reb Nosson, told me, Hachi Amar Hillel Mishmei de Gemara. This is what Hillel said in the name of the Amoraim who preceded him. Gemara is the term of learning, the people who learned. This is not Hillel, the famous Hillel Hazaken, the elder, who we're soon going to discuss, who was a Tana who lived 100 years before the destruction of the second Beis HaMikdash. This is actually a completely different Hillel. This is the last Hillel in Jewish history. He was a 10th generation of Hillel Hazaken. He was from the dynasty, he was a descendant, 10th generation of the original Hillel Hazaken. This is Hillel the Amoira. So he lives a few hundred years after the original Hillel. So Ravina, who's an Amoira, says, I heard from Reb Mesharshaya that he quoted Hillel. That's how we know it's a later Hillel, because Ravina is quoting, Reb Mesharshaya is quoting Hillel, who said in the name of the Amoraim who preceded him. This is what he said. Listen to this. Lo nichroich inish Matzah-Maror b'hadi adadi v'neichel. A person should not make a sandwich of matzah and maror together and eat them. Do not bundle together. Nichroich is like the word kairech, sandwich, right? Bundle together. Kricha is a sandwich. Don't wrap together matzah and maror and eat them. Why? Mishum de svirelon, because we hold, Hillel said, matzah bizman hazeh doiraisa. Matzah, even nowadays, when we eat it by the Seder, is a biblical commandment. It's a mitzvah in our Torah to eat matzah even today, with no Beis HaMikdash. Even though we don't have a carbon Pesach, we still have an obligation to eat matzah. Maror d'Rabbanan. But maror nowadays is only a rabbinic commandment, not a biblical commandment. What's the pshat? The Torah says about the Korban Pesach in Parshas Ba'aloischa by Pesach Sheni and in Parshas Boy by Pesach Rishon, Al Matzois Umiroirim Yoichluhu. You should eat the Passover offering with matzah and maror. That means the mitzvah to eat maror came as what? As an accompaniment to the Korban Pesach. I want you to eat the lamb chops or the goat, whatever the Korban Pesach is, a lamb or a goat, or a sheep or a goat, together with matzah and maror. So the mitzvah of maror is what? Only as an accompaniment to the Korban Pesach. If there's no Korban Pesach, there's no mitzvah of maror. The Torah never says, the night of Pesach, I want you to eat maror. The Torah says, I want you to eat the Korban Pesach with matzah and maror. So now there's no Korban Pesach, you don't have a Beis HaMikdash. There's no mitzvah in our Torah to eat maror. But matzah, there's a separate pasuk in Parshas Boy, Ba'erev toichlu matzahs. On the night of Pesach, you should eat matzah, independent. So matzah remains a mitzvah d'oraisa even today, because the Torah doesn't make it exclusively dependent on the Korban Pesach. But maror, min ha-Torah, you have to have a Korban Pesach to be mekayim the mitzvah of maror. So why do we eat maror today? After the Churban Beis HaMikdash, the rabbis instituted that Zecher LeMikdash, a commemoration to the time of the Beis HaMikdash, when we ate maror with the Korban Pesach, we should eat maror today too. So matzah today is d'oraisa. Maror today is only the Rabbanon. Says Hillel, don't make a sandwich and eat them together. Why? Because since matzah is d'oraisa and maror is the Rabbanon, so therefore, osi maror the Rabbanon umevata leila matzah d'oraisa. The taste of the maror, which is rabbinic, is going to nullify and obliterate the taste of the matzah, which is d'oraisa, and you won't fulfill the mitzvah of matzah. Meaning, when the Torah says to eat matzah, it means you have to eat matzah. Don't mix in other flavors, other tastes. Don't put in sugar. Don't put in honey. Don't put in spices. Don't put in chrein. I didn't ask you to eat chrein. I asked you to eat matzah. Matzah has to have integrity. It has to be pure matzah. Same reason we don't cook matzah and eat it. Forget the issue of gebrocks. You're not kind of mitzvah with matzah muvashals with cooked matzah. You want pure matzah, authentic, the taste of matzah. If you sandwich it with maror, you put them in your mouth together, the maror is going to be mevatel, the tam hamatzah. And even if you hold that mitzvahs are not mevatel one the other, two mitzvahs, when they're being done together, one will not nullify the other. So therefore, when you're eating matzah and maror, they shouldn't nullify each other. And the Gemara soon is going to explain what this means and what this opinion is. We're going to get there in a moment. But even according to that, it's only if it's a Torah, one d'oraisa with another d'oraisa. Or it's a sandwich of one rabbinic mitzvah with another rabbinic mitzvah. Aval d'oraisa or d'rabbanan. But when you're sandwiching together a d'oraisa and a d'rabbanan, asi d'rabbanan u'mevatel d'oraisa. The rabbinic one is going to obliterate the biblical one, so the maror, which is rabbinic, will obliterate the matzah. And the Gemara explains what it means, this opinion. Who is the Tana who holds that mitzvahs will not nullify each other even when you eat them together and they have two distinct tastes? Hilel. This Hillel is the original Hillel. Hillel, the elder, the Tana, who was a Nasi, who was the leader of the Sanhedrin approximately 1 century before the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash. The Beis HaMikdash was destroyed approximately in the year 70 after the Common Era, and Hillel HaZaken lived around 100 years earlier, and he was the Nasi of the Sanhedrin. His colleague was, of course, Shammai HaZaken, Hillel and Shammai, and they developed two schools of thought, Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai. We learned before the Machlokes about Kiddush, if you make first a bracha on wine, or a bracha on Shabbos and Yom Tif. Schools of Shammai and schools of Hillel who have a few hundred arguments in Shas about different aspects of halacha, but this is the original Hillel. It's Hillel. The Tanya, we have a brayso. Amru alav al Hillel. They used to say about Hillel, Shaya karchan bebas achaz v'yoichlon. He used to make a sandwich. What was in his sandwich? The Korban Pesach. He lived 100 years before the Korban Bayesheni. The Korban Pesach.
They were doing then?
They did everything. This is the second Beis HaMikdash. Hillel lived a century before the destruction of the second Beis HaMikdash.
So he was in the time.
So he was the time of the Beis HaMikdash. So he used to make a sandwich. A sandwich of what? The meat of the Korban Pesach.
Don't argue with him.
1 second. Wait. Hayakarchan, he had a sandwich. He had in the sandwich the meat of the Korban Pesach. He had matzah, he had maror, bebas achas in one shot together. Va'oichlan, and he ate them together. Shenemar, the Korban says, al matzois u'meroirim yoichluhu. The pasuk says in Bahaloischa about Pesach Sheni that in the second month on the 14th day, Yasu Oisa, you should make the Korban Pesach. Al matzos u'meroirim yoichlu. Eat it. Al doesn't mean on top; it means with. Like it says by the Mishkan, Vayavoyu ha'anoshim al hanoshim. The men came on the. It doesn't mean the men came on top of the women. They didn't come on top of the women. When they were sitting on their heads, the women were carrying the men. It means they came with. Al matzos u'meroirim yoichlu means you eat it with matzah and maror.
How's Pesach Sheni and Raya, the Pesach Rishon?
By Pesach Rishon, it also says, umatzas al meroirim yochlu. In Pesach, Perik Yud Beis, Pasuk Ches, yeah? Shmois Yud Beis, Pasuk Ches. You have a chumash? You mind giving me a chumash? I'm just hooked up.
Why didn't they bring that?
Ooh, good shaila. Right there, no, right there. No, left, the blue right there.
My question was, why would they bring it to Pesach?
Good shaila. Why wouldn't he bring lechatchila the pasuk from Pesach Rishon? Why bring Pesach Sheni? Because in the Lashon and Parshas Boyes, Perik Yud Beis Pasuk Ches, the pasuk says, "Va'achlu es habasar ba'layla hazeh tzliesh umatzos al meroirim yochlu." Beautiful pasuk. Eat the meat on this night, roasted on fire, with matzahs and maror, you should eat it. But he brings the pasuk from Pesach Sheni. It's a very interesting order you're asking.
Pesach Sheni doesn't include basa. Maybe that's why, because it wouldn't be a good analogy.
Maybe to prove that Pesach Sheni is as chashuv as Pesach Rishon. Maybe to prove that Pesach Sheni is as chashuv as Pesach Rishon. What's that Hillel?
According to Hillel, there's two eating matzahs.
Oh, well, one second. It's a good ha'ara.
But it's yours, because you brought the pasuk in Shmos. I was asking only about
Right, so the al matzahs u'merorim yechlu is a pasuk from Bahaloischa. Right? But in Parshas Boy, it says very similar. It says, u'matzos al merorim yechluhu, which is almost similar. It adds v'achlos habasa b'layla hazeh. Right. In Bahaloischa, it says, bein ha'arbayim yasu oisai, which refers to oisai, the carbon pesach, al matzahs u'merorim yechluhu. Yeah, it's a very good ha'ara. It's a very good order. I'll address it, but
this is a better ha'ara. I didn't ask your question.
Oh, okay. Okay, both good ha'aras. Okay. What is Hillel teaching us here? Hillel used to make a sandwich. Why? He said that's what the pasuk means. Eat the Korban Pesach with matzah and maror together. What does together mean? Together. He took a bite, and in that bite, you had matzah, you had maror, you had the Korban Pesach. Mitzvahs mevatl zu. The maror and the matzah is obliterating the Korban Pesach. The Korban Pesach is obliterating the matzah. The maror is obliterating the matzah. Mitzvahs ein mevatl zu. Why not?
Could be that that's not the wisdom. Maybe that's the way the Torah wants to do it.
Huh?
Torah describing the details of how it wants to do it.
Why the Torah is very busy with how.
Okay. All good questions, but let's first address what he's saying, and then we'll get to the questions. He's saying here a gewaldige Wort. Mitzvahs ein mevatl zu. We learned before, if you eat matzah and maror today, the maror is going to be mevatl the matzah. It's two mitzvahs. No, this is the Rabbanan, this is the Araisa. But if it would be the Araisa wouldn't be mevatl each other. What's the Havana? The Havana here is that Rashbam gives us one word. The Rashbam, afilu leman damar. It's the third Rashbam. Afilu leman damar. The kivan dechi hadadi ninu. Since you're eating them together, kulu kiyim mitzvahs ninu. They're all a fulfillment of mitzvahs. V'loy mevatli hadadi, and they're not mevatli each other. What is the Rashbam telling us? What's bittul? What is bittul? What does bittul mean? When we speak in halacha about bittul, it means two things come together. They are essentially enemies, meaning they contradict each other, right? So we speak about bittul b'roiv, the majority wins, or bittul b'shishim. It's a ratio of 60 to 1 you win. Or we'll speak about bittul in 100 or bittul in 200, which basically means, let's speak about this sociologically. If you're a refugee and you come into a new community, you assimilate, you become part of the larger majority. It's very hard to retain your own identity, right? When everybody around you is doing something else. That's what the concept of bittul, and it's also true physically. You pour in a little milk into the cholent by mistake, right? Or you put in a little soup into another soup. It assimilates. It loses its distinct identity because of the pressure of the majority. Classic case of bittul is, min b'she'enei minoi. Min b'she'enei minoi means two different species, and therefore they come together, and really they're competing against each other. But since I'm the majority, or it's 60 to 1, so therefore you melt away and you lose your identity in the melting pot, in the big pot. One is asur, one is mutter. So if there's enough to be mevatel, it becomes batel. If not, not. Here, what's the bittul? It's not two. One thing is forbidden, one thing is permissible. You're eating matzah and maror. It's both a mitzvah. It's the Iraisa, it's the Rabbanan. But you say the maror is mevatel the matzah. Why is the maror mevatel the matzah? Because you're supposed to eat matzah, not mixed in with anything else. So it takes away from the matzah. Says Hillel, that's all if the two things are not mitzvahs. If the two things are mitzvahs, ein mevatel zu. They can't be mevatel each other. You know why? Because if you go down to their core, it's really the same nekuda. It's a mitzvah. And because it's a mitzvah, it's ultimately one. So one mitzvah can't take away and nullify and obliterate the other mitzvah, which is fascinating. Physically, it changes the taste of the matzah, no question. But because it's a mitzvah, so ultimately at the core, what is it? What is matzah? A mitzvah. What is maror? A mitzvah. Two mitzvahs. In other words, if you want to use spiritual language, what is the matzah at its core? Godliness. What is the maror at its core? Godliness. Godliness can't destroy godliness. This is matzah, this is maror. That's just the manifestation of the godliness. The manifestation of the mitzvah. But the nekudah is mitzvah. If the nekudah is mitzvah, so you're not mevatel me, you mechazik me, you embolden me. It's like when a refugee comes and then his best friend comes from the same country. They help each other, they embolden each other. The mitzvah is not mevatel the other mitzvah. The mitzvah brings out the other mitzvah. They're on the same team. They're both connecting to Hashem. This is bitter and this is matzah. That's the physical manifestation, but the nekudah is you're connecting to God through this and through this. So it's one inyan. So it's not mevatel.
Nicht gehilig zwischen der Wasserträger and the...
But Havamina is actually good Havamina because we need to experience maror, which is bitterness.
Oh.
You put it in matzah together, you take it away the bitterness. The same thing you with a matzah. You need to experience taste less.
Good. We'll soon see another shit. We'll soon see another shit. Good. It depends how you look at a mitzvah. If you look at the mitzvah from the external physical point of view, then even mitzvahs are mevatel one the other. This is maror, this is matzah. Sorry, it's two separate creatures. But if you're looking at the mitzvah from the pnimius of the mitzvah, the deeper core of the mitzvah, then the matzah and the maror is really one etzem. It's one entity. Each one is a mitzvah of Hashem. So they can't contradict or even undermine or belittle each other. It depends how you look at a mitzvah. Do you look at a mitzvah from the human perspective? Or do you look at a mitzvah from the divine perspective? From the human perspective, it's matzah and maror. From the physical perspective. From the divine perspective, you just did a mitzvah. You just did a mitzvah. You became one with God. Right? Now, this is all if it's both a mitzvah. But what if one is voluntary and one is a mitzvah? It is mevatel it. Since bisman hazeh maror is not biblical, it's only rabbinics. From a biblical perspective, the maror is not a mitzvah, it's voluntary. So today, if you eat maror with matzah, what happens? You're mevatel the tam matzah. Because from a doiraisa perspective, the maror is not a mitzvah. What's the maror? Just horseradish. Just bitter horseradish. The Rabbanan. But from matzah's doiraisa. From the doiraisa level, you're not doing a mitzvah with maror. Right? You're not doing a mitzvah with maror. So the maror is just regular food. It's like eating an onion. It's like taking matzah and putting on it borscht and onions and 7-layer kosher Pesach cake.
That's not the Rabbanan though. The Rabbanan is maror.
The Rabbanan is maror, but in doiraisa, maror is not a mitzvah. So on a doiraisa level, the time of the matzah got nullified because you didn't do a mitzvah through the maror. Bisman of the Beis HaMikdash, Hillel had a sandwich of Pesach Matzah-Maror. The maror was min ha-Torah. Mitzvahs ein mevatel zu azu. But bisman hazeh, the maror is the holy d'Rabbanan. So if it's a d'Rabbanan and a d'Rabbanan, you're good. They won't be mevatel each other. If it's a doiraisa and a doiraisa, you're good. They won't be mevatel each other. If it's a doiraisa and a d'Rabbanan, the Rabbanan will be mevatel the doiraisa. The doiraisa won't be mevatel the Rabbanan.
But it's not like Islam and the Yiddishkeit. You know, it's the same religion.
The Torah says to listen to the Rabbanan. That's true. So I have to listen to the Rabbanan. But the cheftza of the maror, right, is not a cheftza of a mitzvah. I have to listen to the Rabbanan. But the cheftza of the maror is not a cheftza of a mitzvah.
When you make an error, you're telling me that that's not a cheftza of mitzvah from the perspective of the Rabbanan.
Unless they turn it into a
Yeah,
mitzvah.
from the perspective of the Raisa,
Right.
it remains cool.
Right. When the Raisa looks at this maror, what type of maror is it? Just a regular food. It's not a commandment because it's bisman hazeh. So when I'm putting that maror into the mouth together with the matzah, I obliterated the biblical matzah mitzvah. Conversely, when I eat matzah together with maror, the matzah didn't obliterate the maror. Because even by the rabbis, the matzah is a mitzvah. So the matzah doesn't nullify the maror, but the maror nullifies the matzah.
Over maror doesn't do anything to change the status of...
Tazai. The matzah doesn't alter the maror, but the maror alters the matzah on a de'iraisa level. That's why Hillel the Amoira said today, by taking away the taste. I mitzvahs aim of atlazu azu, the nekud is Ratzon Hashem. No, it's not Ratzon Hashem, it's maror. Matzah and maror bizman abayis. What's the nekuda? Ratzon Hashem. Matzah and maror bizman hazeh. What's the nekuda? It's maror. It's not Ratzon Hashem. Oh, good question. Good question. Now you'll understand our whole Seder. Now you'll understand our Seder. People don't realize what goes on in our Seder. What thought goes on. You'll see in a minute. We're not finished. Well, you'll soon see in a minute.
A food that's nothing nullifies something that's something.
Because maror is not nothing. Maror is something.
It's a chulin depth of food, so its taste is going to be, according to...
Its taste will interrupt. It will interfere the purity and the integrity of the matzah experience.
The mitzvah's matzah. You've got a mitzvah that the taste is going to nullify in the sandwich, but at that point, you've already grabbed onto a mitzvah derisa for matzah.
Not if I eat it with the maror. Okay, well, 1 second. The Gemara just said, we'll soon see, we're not yet talking about our Seder. The Gemara said that Hilel the Amoira said, don't sandwich them together because the Iraisa and the Rabbanon cannot work together because the Rabbanon will be Mevatel the Iraisa. Even if you say mitzvahs ein Mevatel azu, which is why Hillel made a sandwich, that's only the Iraisa, the Rabbanon, not the Iraisa and the Rabbanon. That's what the Gemara said, and therefore today he says, don't sandwich matzah and maror, even though Hillel did. Because by Hillel, there was also the carbon Pesach. And the carbon Pesach made it all the Oiraisa. It was one big sandwich of the Oiraisa. It's a different sandwich. Atazoi. By Hillel, the sandwich was Ratzon Hashem, the ganze sandwich.
But it's a different sandwich.
Yes.
The later Hillel...
Yes. The later Hillel said, my grandfather's sandwich ain't your sandwich, man.
About the taste of the matzah, but the sandwich itself...
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So you can have maror by itself and feed people like it's our mitzvah.
What'd you say?
So we're eating matzah separately now because
we're going to do, in a moment, we're going to, trust me, in a moment we're going to see what we do now. I want to quote the Shulchan Aruch Harav, Siman Tov Ayin Hey, where he discusses this Gemara, and he says, Bisman shebeis hamikdash kayam, that the maror was also in a Torah, yotzi yidei chayvas matzah v'yidei chayvas maror, lefisha mitzvah shel Torah ein mevat lezu ezu. Why? Lefisha shkulin hein ka'achas, shekulon kiyum mitzvaysav shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu hein. They're considered one. They're all an implementation of a divine mitzvah. That's what they are. So the maror in its pristine core is kiyum mitzvah. The matzah in its pristine core is kiyum mitzvah. They don't interfere with each other. Says Halban Akuda. And the Rashbam says it, Bekitza, he says, Kulu kiyum mitzvahs ninhu. V'loi mevatli adadi. The Balatanya elaborates a little.
But at one point it was all the rice.
That's why you can make a sandwich. Now, let's see what happens now. This drama is not over yet. Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan said, Cholkin alav chaveirav shel Hillel. This was Hillel. Hillel's friends didn't agree. They held different than Hillel. The Tanya, we have a Bryce. The Bryce says, Yochel yekorchen bebasachas v'oichlin kederich shehillel oichla. You might think you should make a sandwich between all three and eat them like Hillel together. Talmud loymar al matzah u'merorim yoichluhu. What's yoichluhu? Al matzah u'merorim, you should eat it. Afilu zebifnei atzmoi v'zebifnei atzmoi. Even each one independently. As the Rashbam explains, By the first Pesach, it says, "V'achlu es habasar balayla azet sli eish al matzos u'merorim yoichluhu." It could have said al matzos u'merorim yoichlu. You don't have to say yoichluhu. We know what we're talking about. Eat the meat together with matzah and maror, right? Eat. We know what we're talking about. Why does it say yoichluhu? You should eat it. It seems superfluous. Both psukim and bayam ba'aloischa end up with the word yoichluhu. You should eat it. You should eat it. What if the pasuk would have just said, al matzos u'merorim yoichelu, or matzos al merorim yoichelu? They should eat. We know what to eat. In the beginning of the pasuk it says, eat this meat, right? In English you would say, eat this meat together with matzah and maror. Why does it have to say yoichluhu, like a repeat? You should eat it. V'achlu es habasar balayla azet sli eish u'matzos al merorim. Eat the meat together with matzahs and the maror. You could say, yoichelu, you should eat. Yoichlu, you should eat it. Because the pasuk is trying to say, according to this brayso, afilu zebef neyatzmai v'zebef neyatzmai. That what? You should eat only it. What do we mean, only it? Even independently. Carbon Pesach independently, matzah independently, yoichlu hu. In other words, you eat one after the other, one in close proximity to each other, but each one independently. Carbon Pesach, separate. Matzah, separate. Maror, separate. That's the brayso. The chaverim of Hillel argued with Hillel. Yoichluhu. It's an individual eating. Eat them after the other. Al matzos u'merorim means in the same meal. Proximity, one after the other, but not mixed together. Why? Mitzvahs are mevatel zeh, because they're looking at the physical experience where it obliterates it. We'll soon see how he paskin. I'm
asking generally about Rabbi Yochanan. When we see him coming down with this song about...
Well, Rabbi Yochanan is just quoting the chaverim of Hillel. Yeah.
You think that we're going to...
Yeah.
Just, why does he bring the pasuk of Pesach Shem?
No, not yet. Maske Florida Bashi, Ihochi Maya Filu. Really? If this is the shit of the Chachamim that you're not supposed to eat it together, why'd say afilu zebef natzma zebef natzma? Afilu means you could eat it independently, but you don't have to. Afilu means even independently. Elam Rabashi said you're wrong. This brayso agrees with Hillel. That what? That you should eat it together. Hai Tana hachi katani. This is what the Tana means. Yachal lo yetzebu yidei chevase elim ken karchma bas achas v'elchen derech shelo loichla. You would think you're not fulfilling the mitzvah only if you sandwich it together and eat it like Hillel used to eat it. You would think that Hillel's way of doing it was indispensable, and you're not fulfilling the mitzvah any other way. Talmud loymar al matzos u'merorim yoichluhu afilu zebef neyatzmai v'zebef neyatzmai. So the brayso says you could do it independently. You're yoytze the mitzvah even independently. The brayso is not arguing with Hillel. The brayso is just saying yoichluhu says that if you didn't make a sandwich, you still fulfilled the mitzvah. It's not like you didn't fulfill the mitzvah if you didn't eat them simultaneously. That's what the brayso means. It's not an argument with Hillel. So Rabbi Yochanan says the chaverim argued with Hillel. That's true. But Rabbi Ashi says this brayso is not a proof. This brayso actually works with Hillel. It's just telling you that b'di'evet, you don't have to make a sandwich. If you ate them separately, you still yoytze. But if you ate them as a sandwich, avada good.
So Rav Ashi actually halting on the Chaverai.
So Rav Ashi is maintaining that from this brayso there's no proof to the chaverim of Hillel. So the Gemara concludes, Hashta, now, the loy itmar hilchis eloi ke Hillel v'loi ke Rabbana. The halacha was never, there was no vote, there was no halacha established, not like Hillel, and not like the friends of Hillel. Not like Hillel who said that in the time of the Beis HaMikdash you had to do a sandwich. That's what the Torah wants. And mitzvahs are not mevatel one another. And not like the Chachamim who say that you have to eat them independently because mitzvahs are mevatel one another. We don't know what the halacha was never established. Let me tell you, says the Gemara, what to do today. Mevarech al achilas matzah v'achil. Make sure you make a bracha al achilas matzah and eat your kazayis matzah independently. Why? If you'll sandwich it with maror, the mitzvah is going to be mevatel the matzah. The Maror is going to be mevatel the matzah. So eat matzah, you makayim matzah. V'hader mevarech al achilas maror v'ach. And then make a bracha al achilas maror and eat the maror. Why? If you eat the matzah together with the maror, the chachamim who argued with Hillel will say the matzah was mevatel the maror. The matzah was mevatel the maror. If you ate matzah independently, and then you eat matzah together with maror, the chachamim who argue with Hillel, who say that maror you eat independently, bisman abayis, right? Now there's a mitzvah d'Rabbanan to eat maror. Why are you mixing in matzah? Matzah is mevatel the maror. Eat matzah independently, eat maror independently. V'hader ochel matzah v'chasa b'hadi adadi. Now eat matzah and maror together in a sandwich. B'loi bracha, zecher lemikdash kehillel. To commemorate what Hillel did in the time of the Beis HaMikdash, Pesach Matzah-Maror. So that means like this. From Hillel's perspective, right? Hillel's perspective, they ate then only with a sandwich. Today, Hillel would also agree you can't do a sandwich. You know why? Because matzah is d'oraisa, maror is d'Rabbanan. If I make a sandwich, the maror is mevatel the matzah. So matzah, everybody holds, you gotta eat independently, because if not, the maror will be mevatel the matzah. Once I finish with my matzah, what do I do next? Hillel would let me do a sandwich of matzah and maror. Why? Because maror is d'Rabbanan. Why is maror d'Rabbanan? Zeichel HaMikdash. How would they eat the maror Zeichel HaMikdash by d'Rabbanan? Well, how would they eat the maror Zeichel? How would they eat the maror by the Beis HaMikdash together with matzah? So Hillel says, eat the maror together with the matzah now also. Mitzvah d'Rabbanan. It's two d'Rabbanans. They're not mevatel each other. But the Chachamim who argue with Hillel hold that what? That you're not supposed to eat the maror together with the matzah. Because by the way, some mikdash you also didn't eat the maror together with the matzah. So you have to eat the maror itself. So if you eat the maror with the matzah is going to be mevatel the maror. Maror is a mitzvah d'Rabbanan. Matzah is voluntary. So that's why you have to eat maror independently. Now you're done according to the Rabbanon.
Amazing. Even they held that even Zman HaBayis?
They held Zman HaBayis, you ate carbon Pesach separate, matzah separate, maror separate. So today the mitzvah of maror is to eat what? Separate maror. If you bring in matzah to the sandwich, the matzah kills the maror. So the Rabbanon say do matzah separate, do maror separate, and now from their perspective you're done. But Hillel says, wait, my maror wasn't done yet. My maror wasn't done yet. There's a mitzvah to eat maror, zeichel HaMikdash. By the Beis HaMikdash, how do you eat maror? Together with matzah. Give me my sandwich. You make a sandwich. That's why when we make our sandwich, what do we say? Cain? Asa Hillel. The rabbis never did this. The rabbis did it. You know why we're doing it? Cain Asa Hillel. Bizman shebeis hamikdash hayakayim. Hayakoyrich Pesach matzo mar lekayim ashnema matzo sumerayim yechluhu. Now you did the mitzvah according to everybody. If the halacha would have been like Hillel or like the Chachamim, we wouldn't have to go through these three phases. But since the halacha was never established, so we have to go through three phases. Matzah, 1. Maror, 2. Kairich sandwich, 3. And now you're done according to everybody.
So does Maror, like the Chachamim, stay that ice?
No. Maror stay. Why? Because maror is dependent on the carbon Pesach. The Torah says eat the carbon Pesach with maror. But with doesn't mean in a sandwich. With just means in the same meal. In the same meal, eat it together. Doesn't mean together. It's like you say by the Shabbos meal, you make kiddush on wine and you make lechem mishnah. Doesn't mean you mix them together. You just do them together. You understand? So the mitzvah of maror today, you can't be mekayim with matzah. Because if you mix the matzah and the maror is the Rabbanon, the matzah is not a mitzvah. So the matzah is going to nullify the maror. But according to Hillel, the matzah and the maror are not mevatel each other. Why? Because they're both a kiyum mitzvah, the Rabbanon. What's matzah? Arabanon. What's maror? Arabanon. Great, we're good.
Since when?
You typhus?
Not typhus, why is the matzah there?
The matzah today is d'oraisa. That's why you can't eat matzah with a sandwich.
Because it's a derbanan if it's not together. That's
in the time of the Beis HaMikdash, you can eat matzah with maror because they were both d'oraisa. But now the maror is only the Rabbanon. So if you can eat the matzah together with the maror, even according to Hillel, the maror will kill the matzah because the maror is only the Rabbanon. Our sandwich is not like the ancient sandwich. So that's why everybody says you have to eat matzah independent. So now you did the mitzvah d'oraisa of eating matzah. Done. You ate good matzah. Now here comes the machloikas. Hillel would say from matzah jump to the sandwich to fulfill the mitzvah of maror. But if we do it that way, according to the friends of Hillel, we didn't fulfill the mitzvah of maror. So we make a bracha al achilas maror and we eat the maror. Then, for Hillel's sake, we eat the sandwich. And since we don't know who the halacha is like, we're not going to do another bracha al achilas maror. Even though, according to Hillel, when are you fulfilling the mitzvah of maror? By the koirich, not the first maror. But we're not sure, so we make one bracha al achilas matzah, one bracha al achilas maror. We eat the matzah, we make a bracha maror, we eat the maror, and then we eat the second matzah and maror. Right? And we don't make...
Second matzah, he's asking, why is that being rabbinic?
Okay. The second matzah, according to Hillel, is rabbinic. Why? Because Hillel says that today, the rabbi said, even though you don't have a Beis HaMikdash, you don't have a Karban Pesach, we want you to commemorate the Beis HaMikdash. How did they do it in the time of the Beis HaMikdash? The maror with the matzah. So how do you do it today? You do it as close as possible. We can't have a Karban Pesach. We can't. But at least the maror and the matzah together. So according to Hillel, eating the maror with the matzah is a rabbinic commandment. So the matzah won't obliterate it. Yes. The whole koirich is rabbinic. It's rabbinic matzah. Because koirich is rabbinic. So the rabbinic matzah won't obliterate the rabbinic maror. On the contrary, because they're both rabbinic. Back to mitzvahs. Mitzvahs ein mevatloi zu azu, as long as they're both biblical or they're both rabbinic. That's the key. If one is rabbinic and one is biblical, you got an issue. But if both are rabbinic, you're good. So the nekuda of matzah is the rabbanon. The nekuda of maror is the rabbanon. So they're not mevatel one another. So Hillel says you can eat them together. Matzah the rabbanon according to Hillel because you need it as a sandwich for the maror.
The second time around.
The matzah you need as a sandwich with the maror, because the reason we're eating maror today is zeichel hamikdash. In the time of the Beis Hamikdash, you ate them together. So today the rabbi said, eat them together, just like then. Why should you make a difference?
If Hillel was here today,
Why should the rabbis today take the maror away from the matzah? If Hillel was here today, he would eat a piece of matzah, then he would make a sandwich, say al achilas maror, and eat together the matzah and the maror. Because they're both rabbanon. Because you're already yotzeh the matzah. Because matzah is da'iraisa. He can't mix the maror with the matzah because the maror will kill the matzah. Because maror today is the rabbanon. But the matzah he can eat together with the maror because the matzah won't kill the maror will kill the matzah.
by everybody, so that's why we do it.
Since the halacha, it says lo itmar hilchas and not like Hillel, not like rabbanon. So our seder, the Gemara Paskins, we include both shittas to be yotzeh according to everybody. Which is why it explains, the Shulchan Aruch brings not to speak from when you make a bracha. Al achilas maror, he says, yeah, all the way till the end of koirach. What's the big deal? Why? The answer is because according to Hillel, you're yotzeh maror only with the second maror, not the first maror. And you're not supposed to speak before a bracha and doing the mitzvah. So that's why it says you shouldn't speak between the bracha that you make on the maror and the eating of the koirich. Why? Because lechatchila, you're not supposed to make a hefsek between. If you spoke, you're still not going to make a second bracha because we're not sure the halacha is like Hillel, but according to Hillel, you would have to make a new bracha. Because your maror mitzvah you didn't do when you ate maror. That wasn't the mitzvah. You did it only later. So it's very geschmack why the Shulchan Aruch says not to speak. Your typhus, the Alter Rebbe says, according to Hillel, you're not yotzeh maror only if you do it together with matzah, because that's how you did it bisman shebeis hamikdash kayam. So that's why we do both. Yeah.
But according to Hillel, matzah was the rice.
According to Hillel, matzah is deirais. That's why you have to eat it in the beginning. Yeah. That's why you have to eat it in the beginning. So that's why when we make a bracha al achilas matzah, we don't speak from the beginning of matzah till the end of koirich. Because the bracha al achilas maror has to go on the koirich, and the bracha al achilas matzah has to go on the matzah of the koirich. Because that's also a mitzvah d'Rabbanan. So that's why we try not to speak from the first al achilas matzah on the matzah till the end of the sandwich. If you did speak, you don't make another bracha because we're not sure the halacha is like Hillel. So we don't make, but if the halacha would be like Hillel, you would have to make a second bracha. Okay. You got it? You have to chazer it.
How do the Rabbanan deal with the words in the Bryce at Korchan Bavas Ata?
The Brisa says,
Korchan, it sounds like you're Korchan Bavas Ata.
no, the Brisa says, you would think you have to make a sandwich like Hillel. So it says, Yoichluhu, you don't have to. In other words, the Brisa is saying that even according to Hillel, it's only lechatchila, not b'di'evet. You understand? That's how Rabbi Ashi explains it. Yeah. Now, even Hillel holds mitzvahs ein mevatla zu, because that's why you can make a sandwich bisman beis hamikdash. Yeah. Levi Eisenberg asks, he says, maybe he holds mitzvahs mevatla zu, just the Torah says over there you should eat it together, right? But no, we could prove that Hillel holds mitzvahs ein mevatla zu, because Hillel says you also put matzah in the sandwich, and matzah is an independent mitzvah. If you would say mitzvahs mevatla zu, right? Yeah, matzah is an independent mitzvah, be'erev teichlu matzahs. Not only with the sandwich. And Karban Pesach is also an independent mitzvah. If you don't have Matzah-Maror, you still have to eat the Karban Pesach. So the fact that you could make a sandwich is because mitzvahs ain't mevatel zu. Because if they would be mevatel, you would have to eat matzah separate and Karban Pesach separate. So Hillel holds mitzvahs never nullify each other. So our sandwich is not like that sandwich. It's a different sandwich. Our sandwich, according to Hillel, is 2 rabbinics. According to the Chachamim, it's 1 rabbinic and 1 voluntary. The time of the Beis Hamikdash, everything biblical according to Hillel. So the structure of the Seder encompasses both opinions. The real machlokes is if mitzvahs are an inyan of moichen da Abba or moichen da Imma. If mitzvahs are moichen da Imma, in other words, from the perspective of the yesh, of the person, so then matzah and maror mevatel each other because it's different experiences. This is the hana of matzah, and this is the tam of maror. It's a different experience. But if mitzvahs are moichen da Abba, so it's ayin, so it's 1 nekuda. It's ayin. So mela ein mevatel, ayin of kamina, mata, maila, this tam, that tam. It's not negeya. The nekuda is the mitzvah.
But I'm sure we pass according to the ima, the ima, because that's the yeshus. We live in this world.
It's connected to another machlokes, a very interesting machlokes. It says when the Hashem gave Torah, "Vayidaber Elokim es kol hadvarim ha'ela leimer." Leimer. So what's the word leimer? They were all there. Usually leimer means to repeat, but everybody was there. So the Mechilta says, leimer means that when Hashem said the 10 Commandments, He wanted that the Jews should speak back. They should give feedback. Leimer, they should also speak. They should say that they are interested. So there's a machlokes. Rabbi Shmuel says, al hein hein v'al lav lav. Rabbi Akiva Omer al hein hein v'al lav hein. Rabbi Shmuel says on the positive commandments they said yes. On the negative commandments they said no. So when Hashem said, kabed esavicha v'esimecha, respect your father, they said, yeah, we'll do it. When He said, lo sirtzach, don't murder, they said, lav, we won't. Lo signev, we won't. Al hein hein v'al lav lav. Rabbi Akiva says, al hein hein v'al lav hein. They said yes on everything. On the positive ones, Shabbos, Kibbud Aveim, Emunah, Noichi, said yeah. On the negative ones, they also said yeah, meaning, yeah, we'll fulfill the mitzvah. Loi sirtzach, of course, yeah. We won't kill, yes, as we will fulfill the mitzvah. At the surface, it seems like it's just an argument about semantics. What's the difference if they said we won't do it, or they said yes, we'll do what you're saying? I mean, what's the difference? But the truth is that it's a very deep machlokes. Rabbi Shmuel says that the experience of the mitzvah had to be from the human perspective. In other words, the human's experience and understanding of it. So the positive commandment is yeah, of course, yeah. The negative is no, it's horrible. How am I going to, of course I'm not going to murder, I'm not going to steal. For Rabbi Akiva, the nekuda of the mitzvah is the fulfillment of Hashem's will. So it's not a difference what He says. It's who says, it's not what. It's all, hey, and yeah, I'm going to do the mitzvah. Right? It's a different word. It's not what He says. It's who said it. It's not negay if you tell me this or you tell me that. That's just the manifestation of how I'm doing your will. But the nekuda is, I want to connect to you, whatever. You want this, you want this. It's all the same thing. It's one nekuda. That's why Rabbi Akiva repeats what seems superfluous. Rabbi Shmuel says, al hein hein, v'al lav lav. Rabbi Akiva says, al hein hein, v'al lav hein. Rabbi Akiva agrees with, by hein, he agrees with Rabbi Shmuel. So Rabbi Akiva should just say, alav hein, or al hein v'lav hein. Why does he repeat again al hein hein? The answer is because the hein of Rabbi Shmuel and the hein of Rabbi Akiva, even by the positive mitzvahs, is a different hein. But Rabbi Shmuel, it's a hein on the teichen of the mitzvah. But Rabbi Akiva, it's a hein on Hashem's rotzen. It's a different hein. It's not the same hein. Yeah. So mitzad al hein hein v'alav lav. Mitzvahs mevatel zu, because every mitzvah has its uniqueness. Here it's matzah, here it's maror. Mitzad nekuda of al hein hein v'alav hein. What's this? Mevatel zu. This is matzah, it's maror, but it's the same nekuda. It's kulan shkulas and kulan kiyum mitzvahs of Shlakadosh Baruch Hu. As the Shulchan Aruch Harav says, it's one nekuda. You're fulfilling His will. So what's the difference?
The difference is also it's a rotzen Hakadosh Baruch Hu, which it's a mitzvah deraisa. A rotzen rabbonon, which is mitzvah derabonon.
Yeah.
It's not the same rotzen.
Right. 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 In other words, in the world of the deraisa, the rabbonon is not a mitzvah. In the world of Torah, it wasn't a mitzvah. Even though we're supposed to listen to it.
It was together, it was a deraisa.
In the Zman of the Beis HaMikdash, it was a deraisa. Because it was a Korban Pesach. But today, when there's no Korban Pesach, it's a derabonon. So mainly you can't eat the matzah with the maror, because the maror is going to be mevatel the matzah. Even according to Hillel. Because the maror is the rabbanon, matzah is the deraisa.
Nobody says that deraisa is
Today they made a Korban Pesach would be a deraisa.
The deraisa won't be mevatel the rabbanon, but the rabbanon will be mevatel the deraisa. When I eat matzah with maror, right? When I eat matzah with maror, yeah? Even if the maror was a derabonon and the matzah was a deraisa, it's not a problem for the maror. The problem is for the matzah. When Hilel the Amoida said, don't make a sandwich, it wasn't because of the maror, it was because of the matzah. Because the matzah deraisa won't kill the maror derabonon. Because for the rabbonon, the deraisa is also a mitzvah. Zicher, for sure it's a mitzvah. The problem is going to be for the matzah, not for the maror. The maror would be good. The matzah is the problem.
the matzah schlep up the maror.
It does schlep up the maror, but the maror schleps down the matzah. Whenever somebody schleps you up, you schlep them down a little bit too. It's like when you put an ice in the coffee, right? Thermodynamics seeks equilibrium. So the ice cools off the heat of the coffee, and the heat, right, also warms the ice. And they find a place where they could be on equal footing.
If today they did make a Korban Pesach, would it be a deraisa? That's
yeah. If today there would be a Korban Pesach, and there are shittas harambam that you could be makriv the carbon even when there's no Beis HaMikdash, so Pesach would be deraisa. And if Pesach, because if Roiv of the Tzibur is Tumah, you could still do it, if we know the place of the Mizbeach, even though there's no Beis HaMikdash, right? And Koyanim would sprinkle the blood on the Mizbeach, so the Korban Pesach would be deraisa, then the Morah would be deraisa taka. Then Hillel would say, you could do everything with a sandwich, you don't have to eat matzah separate. But since it's the Rabbanon today, because we don't have a Korban Pesach, if they would build a Mizbeach, according to their Shittas HaRambam, they were talking about it, yeah. There were Rishonim who wanted to be makriv the Korban Pesach in Zman HaGolus. There were Rishonim, yeah.
Rambam, right?
Huh? It's according to Shittas HaRambam, yeah. You have Rabbeinu Yichil Mepariz, the Kaftav Aferech speaks about it. There's a whole truth of the Chassam Sofer, Rabbi Akiva Eiger about it. Rabbi Akiva Eiger asks his son-in-law, the Chassam Sofer, about it. And nowadays there was discussion about it. An interesting thing, after the 6-Day War, 1967, June 67, the next Pesach, the Lubavitcher Rebbe gave a whole shiur, a whole talk, and he felt Halacha. No, that everybody should leave Yerushalayim Erev Pesach by Chatzos, because according to many Rishonim, now that the Jews have control over it, it's not an onus, and it's a shaila of chorus if you don't bring the Korban Pesach, if you're not b'derech rechaika. So you got to go Tesavav Mill, which is like 15 kilometers away from Yerushalayim. And for many years, Chabad Chassidim would leave Erev Pesach before Chatzos and Pesach Sheni also. In the mid-70s, though, he wrote a letter to Reb Shlomo Yosef Zevin that he feels that it's not relevant anymore. Why? Interesting, because he says that Israel is in such a position that today, even if they would want, they can't. Yeah, they completely surrendered everything, and therefore it's completely not feasible. So therefore, there's no.
Like missed opportunities, 67, huh?
It was a missed opportunity on many levels. The leadership of Israel didn't have the backbone to embrace the gift, and history was changed as a result of that. It's one of the greatest missed opportunities of modern Jewish history. The Muslim world was trembling. They completely wanted to obliterate Israel, so anything Israel would have done would have been justified. And they were even hoping that Israel they didn't even think they'll be allowed to stay there, right? They were completely at their mercy. But Israel did exactly the opposite. And that was it. It showed them that it was a very, very tragic missed opportunity.
Talking about after the 6-Day War.
Yeah. It was the inner.
This class is brought to you by theyeshiva.net. Please help us continue the classes. Make even a small contribution at www.theyeshiva.net/donate.